Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the step-by-step process on beating debt collectors in court. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go to a tutorial where I will show you in detail on a step-by-step video. For the purposes of YouTube, because we don't have as much time, and some people would just get bored, even though it's like one of the biggest things that hurts people when a debt collector is suing them in court. People tend to just skip around on videos here on YouTube. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the details, and what exactly what you got to do, and then I'm give you the opportunity if you just want to learn step by step where you can watch me. It's like looking over my shoulder on exactly how to do this. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to learn that. But real quick, I want to give recognition to this individual right here. That's me when I was 17 years old in the United States Army. And when I look at this picture, one of the things that comes to my mind, and it really does kind of make a connection to what we're going to be talking about with dealing with debt collectors. Because one of the things, let me tell you, one of the things that was happening to me, number one, when I first joined the military, I was always trying to figure out and do something to have a business since I was 15 years old. And I had uh, got some money from my grandmother who had sold all of her properties to the downtown Dallas, and she gave all of her grandchildren 2,500 bucks, gave all of her kids, which are 7 kids, 25,000. That's a lot of money for back in 1986. That's a lot. And then she picked up her house and had it moved to a different location, and uh, and then she just lived out her life. Never needed anything. Took us and all grandchildren to Disney, everywhere, anywhere she wanted to go, she was able to go because she had the money. And but something that I did with the money, and it is related to what I'm about to tell you right now. So pay close attention. Sometimes you get lessons and you don't even know that it applies to something that you're trying to do in your life. Um, this Spanish guy, I was 17 years old, and I graduated high school, and I paid him, I think it was like $1,000, and he taught me how to buy real estate. Because at that time, that's when you saw the commercials on TV, and I was like, I want to be a real estate investor. And I went to my granny, and I said, I want to get the money for this real estate course. This guy's going to teach me how to make money. Now, there was an agreement with everyone in the family not to give anyone their money that are children until they turn 18 years old. So I went to my granny, and my granny gave me the money because she said, I see a lot in you. If I know that if I give it to you, you're going to try to do something, even if it doesn't work, you're going to learn. And so this Spanish guy, he taught me real estate. Like I was sitting across from his desk. And one of the things, like in a way, you are sitting across from my desk. When I talk to you all the time, I'm sitting across from you at like you're at my office, and I'm talking to you. Forget everybody else. I'm talking to you. And this is what he was doing to me. And I didn't learn the lesson at that time, but I want to do, and it's done by repetition. And but he taught me real estate, and he recorded it, and he showed me how to go to people's houses that were getting, like, first we went downtown, a couple was getting divorced. He said you can approach both couples and say, hey, I see that you have like $5,000 or $10,000 equity. If you let me assume the property, because you're in your situation. Let me assume it. I'll get it sold, and then I'll make 5,000, and I'll split the other five with you. And you might be thinking that people didn't do that. People were doing that left and right back then. It was assumable financing. You can't really do it now. It's different strategies now. But he was doing this all the time. He taught me step by step by step. He didn't leave nothing out. Taught me step by step. And then he taught me other ways to buy real estate. But do you know that I took that lesson and I never applied it? Just like a lot of people watching right now, get finger is ready to go click onto another video, not applying, taking information and applying it. Like that's step two of everything is to first get information, get it from someone who knows what they're talking about. And if you've gone through all of my videos or seen me, I know what I'm talking about. And then apply that information. That's where a lot of people had would fall off, and that's where I fell off. I took that information, didn't apply it, and then I had ended up joining the army to run. Like you think people say thank you for your service. Let me tell you something about thank you for your service. Yeah, I volunteered. I put my life at risk for the country, but I went into the military to run because I didn't have nothing else that I was leaning on. I didn't feel that I had anything else that I could do. So I went to the United States Army. And uh, and I remember I went back to see him because he was very just like I'm very I care about your situations. I care about it. Sometimes I think I care about it more than people that watch me care about it because I could see some of the comments and stuff and how some people just disregard and don't even really watch the complete video or most of the video. But I went to him, and not to, so I was in the same boat that most of you are in right now. I went back to him to say that just really just say that I was leaving. But when I went to him, because he would always want us to talk and like, how you doing? Are you trying to buy a piece of property? What are you trying to do? And I went to him, and it was really to say goodbye. And he said, and was just joking around. He was just joking around. He said, What are you gonna do? Join the army? And I already joined. I was leaving the next day. They were gonna pick me up. I was leaving the next day. And just to give you a little bit of how far down I had went, is I was living in my car at that time. At the age of 17, I was living in my car, not because I couldn't go home. It was because there was something that was inside of me that was just telling me, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You are not applying yourself. And I guess in a way, I was uh, embarrassed. And I think the reason why that I was embarrassed more than what some other people would be to just say, hey, let me go to my grandmother, let me go to my granny. Both of them were alive at that time. My mom's father, my dad's, I mean, my mom's grandmother and my dad's mother, both, I could have went straight to their place. They would have been like, come on in. I could have went to my dad's house, come on in. My mom, come on in. Friends, come on in. Because I never burnt bridges. Like I never did things that I got to go back and apologize to family and friends. Like I just didn't. My personality was not that type. And so, but something inside of me was not allowing me to because it was like you're not putting your potential. And as I think about it, and go back, this is something that I did, and if you watch my videos in the past, is that I would, when I was 15 years old, I was giving myself these subconscious, I was listening to subconscious audios that was saying, you're good enough, you're great, you're going to be rich, you're motivated, like all of these things. And I think that at that time in my life, my subconscious and my conscious mind was clashing. And this is the crazy thing. This is the crazy thing is that most people, most of you, your subconscious mind is programmed to hurt you. And your conscious mind has you watching people like me and other things and trying to do opportunities and jumping into them and then coming down or trying to lose weight and then a month later you're back where you were at. Like it just doesn't let you get into the habit. But what I think was what was happening to me was that actually from listening to the subconscious audios, that my subconscious was like telling me consciously, you are not applying yourself. You are not applying yourself. Because if consciously, if I thought that I was applying myself, I would have been able to give myself an excuse to go back and, hey, I need to stay on the couch or do this. Subconsciously, because it's hidden and you don't know, you just do it automatic. It's like jumping in your car. You just automatically put the key in, put it in drive, put it in or reverse, and go do what you got to do. You don't have to think on it. But my subconscious mind was making me think like you are not applying yourself. And so I was clashing, and so I ran. And he thought that it was he thought he was joking, and I had really joined the military, and I didn't even have the like. I barely could get it out of my mouth to tell him I already did. And I walked out of there, and that night I didn't go to sleep. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, they came and picked me up, and they take you to the MEP station. All of you that went to the military, you know what that is, the MEP station. And that's where you swear in. Like I thought I was already sworn in, but that's where you swear in to really be in. Like they have a fake swear in, and then they have a real swear in. And if you swear in right here, you're gone. I wanted to use another word at that point, but when you swear in at that point, you are gone. And I went in there, and when I was in there and uh, doing my final physical test to pass boot camp to move on, there was something that came back to me that I'm going to share with you before I get into the lesson. This is very important. Like in a way, I just put this together this morning on the way to work. Like I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I put this together. Uh, when I was running, like I always had trouble running long distances. I was a sprint runner in high school, but I had problems running long distance. As a matter of fact, when we I didn't always eat a full lunch because after school for track, I would feel sick to my stomach because after we ran, we would do what's called feed the grasshopper days, and we would have to run around the track in a certain amount of time, or you'd have to do it again. So you're going to run hard all 4 times. Imagine that, 400 yards at a time under a certain period of time, or you're going to have to do it again a fifth and sixth time as the punishment for not doing it those times. And a lot of people were throwing up. I would feel sick to my stomach. And so I like that was in my mind when I was had to run that 2 miles in under a certain period of time. For some people it was nothing. For me it was something. Like you always have to get over something. That's also that's also the lesson of life is that it might be easier for me to do something and harder for you. And it might be easier for you to do something and harder for me. That's what makes life. That's why there's always something you got to get over to get to the next step. And when I was running, I was talking to myself. Like, but I was, no, let me put it this way. I was hearing myself talk, but I didn't even put it together at that time. I was just I was telling myself stuff not to quit. These are the reasons. You got to do it for this. You got to do it for that. Like, and when I think back, and this is what I put together when I was driving to work. When I think back, who was talking to me? Was it my subconscious mind telling me, like coming together at one time in my life to say, you're about to do this, and your subconscious is telling your conscious mind you can do it, and all you have to do is follow. See, what I didn't do when I had the real estate uh, uh, um, guy, the Spanish guy teaching me real estate, is that I didn't apply. I didn't apply what I was taught. When I was running those laps to get to that 2 miles and under that period of time, and I had to do it or I was going to fail boot camp, my subconscious mind was talking to my conscious mind. Like it was a conversation. I didn't even really put this together until I was driving to work. I was having a conversation with myself. And some of the times people don't even understand that when you are talking to yourself, you are talking to yourself. It's not just words. You are telling yourself something, and you need to start listening. Because if you don't listen to yourself, how do you expect anyone to listen to you? And how do you even expect yourself to even change for the better or to do something that you haven't done before? My subconscious mind was talking to my conscious mind and telling my body, this is what you got to do. And this is the reasons why you got to do it. And you got to keep doing it. Because if I would have consciously just kept running and not had anything to lean on, I maybe wouldn't have made it. I'm not going to say I would have or wouldn't have, but it would have been very tough. Because when I think about it, when I think about it, when I think about it, when I finished, when I finished, I didn't talk to anyone. I just thought to myself. And I think that when I was internally thinking to myself, I was further impressing on my subconscious mind more things that I could do, that I can accomplish. Like I was together with myself at that period of time. And I think that all of that stuff helped me through life. And what I want to do for you is to tell you that you got to be more intentional about when you learn something from someone. When you learn it from anyone, you got to be more intentional about what you are learning. It's not just words. You are learning something and it can be applied at any time in your life. And to back up to the real estate example, with the real estate teacher, uh, with the investment. He wasn't like a real estate class. This was an investment, like he did properties. They call it flipping now, but they didn't call it flipping back then. From what I learned from him, I bought my first property, a duplex, in 1996. From what I learned from him, I bought four other properties and made over $300,000 from those properties. From what I learned from him, I recently just sold a property and made over 400,000 from that property. From what I learned from him, I bought two commercial buildings. One of them is worth $1.2 million. Another one is worth over $250,000 and growing. And none of those buildings have any mortgages on them, from what I learned from him. And I wish I knew his name. I don't know if he's alive now, but he taught me, and that goes into what we're about to talk to right now. Sometimes you're not ready for the lesson. I don't like having to say it, but I have to say it. Sometimes you are not ready for the lesson, but you must listen to the lesson and get ready to apply it somewhere in your life. Sometimes the lesson that you're learning right at that time is not to be applied right at that time. It could be applied to something else that's going to need that type of application in your life. So when we talk about dealing with debt collectors in lawsuits, it can be applied to a debt collector, but it can also be applied to solving problems in your life. Because one of the things that I do, that I teach people to do, and what I do for myself, is to break down a problem. Because most people, when they have a problem, this is what they do. Most people, when they have a problem, and let me give this to you too, great thinkers continue to learn and evolve. Great thinkers continue to learn and evolve. If you look around and you see people, and some of you maybe have seen this in one of my videos. If you look around, you're going to see four types of people. You're going to see people that are moving forward. You're going to see people that are solving problems after problems. And you're going to see people that are running in circles with the same problems. And then you're going to see people who are trying to solve the same problems that they were working on years ago. And those are the people that are not listening. Those are the people that are thinking that they're solving problems, but they're not. They're just either making new problems or they're trying to solve the same problems that they had before. Now, when I break down solving a problem to fight up against a debt collector, this is like the way that I do it. Number one is you got to look at all of the documents. And again, there's going to be a chance for you to watch a video where I will break this down even into more detail. But let me tell you, when you're working against debt collectors, you have to, number one, evaluate everything that they're putting up against you. Because what the one thing that they're going to try to do is they're going to try to flip it and say that you have to bring documents when you are the defendant. Have you ever thought about it? If you're in court and the prosecutor says, bring us the document that you utilize to get this debt, because we want to use it against you to prove to the judge that you have this debt, that you should have to pay this debt. It doesn't work that way. What you do is you look at their documents, and so you won't fall into the trap that they try to place for you, is you scrutinize their documents, because they're going to come back at you and they're going to say, well, what document are you trying to use to prove that you don't owe this amount? I'm using your documents, and you've only shown me one or two documents that show a balance that doesn't equal, on that document that you gave me, doesn't equal this $10,000 or whatever. So this is what we do. Is the first thing is that, and you've heard this on every YouTube channel, is proof of contract. They're going to give you an affidavit that says we bought it from this original creditor, or we bought it from a debt collector, whatever. Depending on what they give you and how they give it to you, you're going to have an opening already from there, which is a privacy issue. Is that, did you sign to have your information transferred and utilized through that debt collector? Did that debt collector follow all of the rules according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act to even come after you for the debt? What about the 30-day letter? What about the privacy issues? Well, we got a privacy issue because we got the affidavit. Okay, affidavit doesn't show my name on that affidavit. It just shows that you bought a bulk of debt. So you already have a hurdle that you have to overcome from a document that you gave me saying that you bought the debt, but you didn't buy my information. Now, they might try to say, well, we got this information. Let them do that. Next thing is all of the charges. All of and you would do, if they had several debt collectors, or if they had a portfolio company buy it and then the debt collector is utilizing it, and then they got it over to an attorney in your area, you would have that same argument for all of them. For all of them, you would have the same argument. Make each one of them produce documentation on that. What I've seen happen with that is that the attorney, if they hired an attorney in there, they're like, I'm backing off. I don't want to have nothing to do with this, because I don't want to put my reputation on the line, my license on the line for documents that you don't have. Because all I did is just took your word. But they're asking me for some other stuff, and do you got it or you don't have it? They don't have it. Okay. Well, I'm going to back out of this. Next thing is the proof of claim. When I say proof of claim, and if you read the summons complaint completely, you will see that there's a proof of claim amount that they're trying to come after you for. You want them to prove that entire amount, no matter how it is. If it's an auto repo, if it's credit card, it's a lot easier for credit cards if you make it add up. But if it's auto repo, whatever type of debt, personal loan, whatever it is, you want them as a third-party debt collector to prove every aspect of that. Another thing that you want them to prove as a third-party debt collector is the original contract from the original creditor. You want to have a signed contract from the original creditor. What I've seen with some of these, especially if these online auto dealers or these online payday loans, is that they don't even have a digital signature. They don't even have any documentation. I don't know how they don't have it, but they don't even have a digital signature showing that people authorize an auto loan. And then if it's an auto loan, you want to scrutinize the contract just to see if there's any stuff in there that would have paid off the vehicle, the auction statement, all of that stuff. You want them to give you all of that stuff. And they might say, well, we gave it to you. Well, give it to me again because it wasn't in your summons. You're making a claim about a certain thing and it wasn't in the summons, so you need to go ahead and provide me that information. And oh yeah, you want to talk about the interest rates, finance charges, everything. You want to do your homework. If it was a payday loan, you want to see if they broke any finance charge laws. If they did what's called like a double dip, where you got the loan, you came in, refinanced it, and it looks like you're paying where your state says you can only pay like 500%, which is crazy. Some of these got up to 30. My state can do 2,000% on a payday loan. But so you go in there and let's just use my state. You go in there, you know it's 2,000% over the life of that loan that they can charge you. They do the finance charge halfway through the month. You made a payment, but then you refinanced it to re-up the loan, and it has a new finance charge because they put that other amount into your previous loan. That could actually break the finance charge rules per month that they can charge. Yeah, you got to do your homework, but I found, and we on my website, you can see where this actually happened to a couple in Missouri where when they did the finance charges said was a violation of the law, and they actually won in front of the judge. Judge dismissed the whole case. So you want to do that with credit cards. You want to get your payments, everything from day one. Payments, your charges with your digital signature or PIN code, interest rate charges that they charge on those to make sure that those are right. Any credits, any disputes, any you want to make sure any rewards, whatever, everything because they've produced documents with that statement, they've opened the door to make you be able to get everything. You want everything. If they're the original creditor say, hey, here's the document. What else? What do you want to do? Let's go to the settlement. But if it's a third party debt collector, then you have the door, you have the upper hand. Make them just get all of the hey, I'm not running, I'm here. Judge, I'm here. Get me could they please give me all those documents so I can review them? Next thing is the accuracy of the portfolio. Now, I don't care what anybody says. You have a right because when they buy these portfolios, not to just have an issue to say that there's an issue with your specific information on the portfolio, because obviously they're going to say yes. What when they buy portfolios, and if you read the affidavit, it says that when you're buying this portfolio, you take the debt collector takes 100% full responsibility for the portfolio. So if they end up buying that portfolio, they are fully responsible. So if someone files bankruptcy, they can't go back to the original creditor and say anything. It says it right on the document if you read it. So if you think about it, you can challenge that that the original creditor stated in their own document that the third party debt collector gave to you that the portfolio that they purchased is not 100% accurate. It's not showing on that document that it's 100% accurate. So you can actually utilize their own document and say that it on their affidavit it says that it's not 100% accurate. So already there could be an issue with the portfolio itself. And when debt collectors get that type of question against them, they can end up dismissing their case. Next thing is a 1099-C. Uh, if you're not familiar with what a 1099-C, that's a cancellation of debt. What I had found, especially with credit card debts, and you got to look at it, you got to get a paid credit monitoring service. The free ones like Credit Karma and all those other ones that give it to you for free, it does not state this on there. And I don't, maybe it's because they're in cahoots with the credit card companies or in cahoots with lenders, because those are their clients that put the information on there. But you could see in the comment section if it ever says canceled by by lender, or it could actually outright say 1099-C cancellation of debt filed to the IRS. But more than likely, it'll say cancel. If it says canceled on there, did you know that you can actually use that document and submit that document in your response to the court summons, or you could just state it in your affirmative defense that the original creditor stated that they filed a 1099-C cancellation of debt, and that you want the debt collector to get you proof, an affidavit that the original creditor did not do that. The reason why, because you would have double jeopardy. When you get a 1099-C cancellation of debt with the IRS, they're going to put that as income to you. So you don't have to pay, you shouldn't have to pay the debt collector and the IRS because they considered it income to you. They can't even come after you for that debt. And they might, here's the problem though. Here's the problem is that they cannot go back to the original creditor to get that information. I know they may make it like they have relationships with them. I've never seen to this day a response from a debt collector that went back and got an additional document from the original creditor stating that uh, that they did not file a 1099-C. Another thing that you should pay close attention to, and I've seen this with some of the other court summons that I've uh, looked at, is that some of the times, especially with Lending Club, they'll have what's called an affidavit or power of attorney where Lending Club is signing off for every one of those lenders in that Lending Club. uh, I don't know why they're doing it that way, but it's somehow every one of the lenders in the lending club is connected. And I don't know if they're all just investors and then it goes to the lending club and they make a piece. I haven't figured that out yet. I just know that when they submit the summons, and it'll have in the affidavit power of attorney, and it have a whole list of lenders, and one of them had like 13 pages that was full. And I was like, why would each one of them have to file power of attorney over it? Like to lose their power of attorney over to lending club, and lending club official sign it over to the debt collection company. Um, that opened the door big for 1099-C, because if they had a loss, if the company had a loss, and if they file a 1099-C, they're going to file 100% to the IRS. Any one of those companies could have done that. Any one of them. Now, they're going to be able to file the loss on their taxes anyway. But the thing is that if they file a 1099-C, any of those companies, it could have put this into a whole new category where they can't sell and make that additional money from a third party debt collector. And when I see something like that where each one of them had to sign off on that, it doesn't matter to me because those are still all individual, either LLCs or corporations. Some of them were like foundations. I don't know if a foundation is put money on the street or something. So you have to be very careful in understanding all of your rights on how you would be able to respond to these court summons. Now, if you want to learn how to do this, there's a link below here. Just go to my membership program. It's only $19.99 per month, and it has lessons on a whole bunch of stuff, and also step by step, actually updated step by step videos on how to deal with court summons and the documents that you would need to use and how to use them. All right. Thank you for your time. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my two-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com. Get your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian credit reports. If you have debt collectors coming after you early in the game before they take you to court, grab my 3-pack of letters, my cease and desist collection activities letter, debt validation letter, and statute of limitations letter. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel. Please post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.